Welcome around the world to this month's KTN webcast. It's going to be part 2 of our reservation sales quest. We presented part 1 in December, and then last month we took a break from sales and talked about the lightning rod for guest negativity. So as with all of our programs that we do, we welcome you all around the world, a lot in North America, but we have several continents as usual here today. And I see in our count, so many of you actually attend live, which is fantastic. But keep in mind, if you're not able to attend live, you do get the recording. So I, of course, am Doug Kennedy, coming to you from our headquarters office here near Miami, Florida. So well, now it's good afternoon here. Maybe it's good evening in Europe, and good morning if you're in Hawaii, where I will be going 1 week from today. So a few shout outs. We love to do our shout outs. First of all, let me not forget to thank our sponsors, Track Hospitality Software, amazing company that offers property management services, solutions, property management software, primarily for vacation rental condo hotels, but expanding every year. They also have a CRM specific to reservation sales. So if you're in on this topic of reservation sales, you probably are involved in reservation sales, and they have a fantastic program that allows you to track leads and incoming calls and follow up proactively and then to track them. We also have Travel Outlook. Many of you are here with us today joining Travel Outlook. Hello, Tanya. They are a premier hotel call center that is our sponsor. They're also the only call center that is certified by Kennedy Training Network. So we onboard, we help participate in the onboarding training, and we do call monitoring for them every month and require them to maintain a very high score on our Kennedy Quest call flow criteria. So in fact, just yesterday, I was doing the 4th part of a 4-part training we do for all of their new agents. So thank you to our sponsors. A few shout outs, which we always love to do in preparing for our webcast every month. Julia Kennedy, our marketing coordinator, and I, we go through the actual list of who's here. It helps me get focused because really I'm here alone in an office and all I have is a little dot in the center of a webcam. But through our preparation, I'm able to imagine people worldwide joining us, and the shout outs help me do that also as we're waiting for the rest of our attendees live. So internationally today, we have Nicole from Soliman Consulting. I think you have our furthest distance away attendee award for today, coming to us all the way from Africa. Barbie from Ronaval, Dominican Republic, hello to you. We have the Usual Hotel in the Netherlands, Mohan, thank you for joining us. And we have Julia from Hospitality Strategist in Italy. Perhaps I met you when I spoke at the Albergator Pro Conference, but if not, I hope to see you at that maybe next year. We have a lot of management companies. Hello, Meg from White Elephant. We hope we add you to the client list here very soon. Nicole from Rocco Forte, thank you for joining us. Several of you from Rosewood. I think our Rosewood participants have been with us for almost every webcast we've done in this series now, going into our 3rd year. We have Kima, Royalton Resorts. Thank you. We love to see commercial people at the commercial level, commercial strategy level joining us, and we'd love to talk with you about our on-site training if you're interested. Speaking of clients, we have many, many clients. Mission Point, Leslie, hello. Oxford Suites, hello. Padre Getaways, another fantastic loyal clients. That's why we call you folks family. You're part of our KTN family. Nizuk, I love going to your hotel. You know I shout you out all the time. Most beautiful hotel in the world. Jessica from Seaside, nice to see you, Jessica. We appreciate you being in our family too. Hazleton, Toronto. I was just there this week, and yet here you are, Grace, signing up. A shout out to all of you. If you do go to Toronto, check out the Hazleton. It is the most decorated hotel in Toronto, which is saying a lot. Not only Forbes 5-star and not only Michelin 2-key, but #1 on TripAdvisor out of 126 hotels. So proud to have you as a client. Compass Resorts, Cozy Vacations, V-Trips. April, hello, April. We have 30A Escapes, ultra luxury vacation homes in the panhandle of Florida. Outer Banks Blue, High Sierra, Parish Collection, Simone. We're actually headed back to Hawaii on vacation this year, as I mentioned, next week. So I remember fondly. It's actually 5 years ago during the pandemic when I was last in your office. And then many of our regulars, Nick, Biltmore, Miami, still hoping to get down there to do some training for you. We have Yvonne from the Aman Hotel in New York. Dial, the winery resort. Julia and I were looking at your resort in Massachusetts, very beautiful. And lastly, Alyssa, Copa Marina, Puerto Rico. And we love to shout out everyone, but it would take like 20 minutes to read the whole list. But those are the ones that caught my attention today. Let's get into our topic. So part 2 of our reservation sales quest, I'm going to do just a few brief recaps from part 1. Now, those of you who did not join us for part 1, I will remind you at the end, all of our webcasts are available on our YouTube channel where you can watch or you can listen to them, just the audio. And we do have these being uploaded, a few more every month, to Spotify. So you can still find part 1 on our YouTube channel. But I'm going to give a quick recap for those of you who are just joining me. The first thing we talked about, and by the way, Reservation Sales Quest, this webcast is a synopsis, a shrunk down version of our on-site reservation sales training that is either a full day training that I do in person, or it can be a half-day program. So you can send half your staff in the morning and then the other half in the afternoon while they're covering the phones. We also do this as a private live webcam series, which my KTN team presents in a 3-part series of private interactive webcam training. So that being said, in our Quest training, in the previous webcast, we always start out by talking about revenue is the currency that is the power plant of a hotel. And the one metric that I really encourage those of you involved in revenue management, our chief commercial officers that are with us today, we have so many metrics that we look at managing revenue, but one that a lot of people overlook is the most important metric to post in your reservations office, and that is the potential value of a reservation inquiry. And this is just on rooms revenue, but please take a screen cap of this photo, and it is the total revenue for your previous year divided by the total number of bookings for the previous year. And that tells you the potential revenue every time that phone rings. So when we pick up that call, that's the number we want to think of, and that is just rooms revenue. When I look at the list here today, many of you are resorts, your hotels, like the Hazelton or the luxury hotels, the Biltmore, that have dining, spa. Biltmore has golf. You have a lot of potential revenue per guest, which exceeds that. Always keep in mind when that phone rings. Now, again, a recap, and this is added for Reservation Sales Quest 2025 edition. That is to realize that those leads that we get today very often are disguised as quick questions, okay? And if you start to realize that when people say, I just have a quick question about, hello, not that I want to stay there, but I just have a question about a particular room type. This right here will tell you they're online right now shopping, and there's a good chance they may be online right now shopping at an OTA, and they just might be ready to book on that OTA, but the OTA room categories don't match with the hotel categories. Also, I was just wondering how much is parking? Do you allow pets? How many people can be in a room? 4, okay, but what about if the 5th person is a baby? Is a baby a person? Nobody is just wondering, okay? So as a recap, when someone says, hi, I just have a quick question about, we want to then say, now that I've answered your question, have you made a reservation yet? Since I'm right here in reservations, and especially if you're in-house reservation or direct reservation at a call center, I can double check those rates right now, okay? When we hear our clients, and I'm going to give a shout out to Sun River Resort. I don't think you're signed up. Maybe you'll hear this on a webcast, but you don't need to be signed up because I'm flying on a plane on Sunday to come and see you for the 3rd year in a row, and 4 out of the last 6 years to do the training. Sun River Resort is amazing at embracing this. and we do our call scoring for them where we download and listen to real calls. We hear them talking to real callers, not mystery shops, and they're asking these, they're using this process. Now that I've answered your question, can I check dates? Have you made a reservation? And we literally hear evidence where the callers, many of them say, oh, sure. Some of them say, oh, you could do that? And they end up getting a booking that would have otherwise gone to an OTA or a website. Now, a reminder for those of you, a lot of you were with me for part one, but if you weren't, we have a Kennedy reservation sales quest core criteria from our call scoring. We use this either to score mystery shops, or if you have a system like Track that records calls, or if you use RingCentral or another system, we can download and score real calls from real callers, okay? And if you do that, we score them with this criteria. But if you don't do that, or if you don't have any call recording and you just want a job aid for your teams, please email me at the end of this webcast. I'll give my email and I will send you the call flow. This is the hotel and resort version. And many of you today are in the luxury vacation rental or vacation home rental, vacation condo rental, and you are renting out privately owned vacations, homes. It's a little bit different. We have a version just for you as well. All right, so a couple more recap slides before we dive right in for today. The next thing we talked about, doing the basics extremely well and extremely consistently. So telephone hospitality, listening with empathy. Today, we're going to talk about securing the sale, but securing the sale to me starts out with, good evening. Thank you for calling Brandex Resort. This is Douglas. How can I assist you today? And we start to put that positive vibe out through the audio call, transmitted digitally into a satellite and down to another phone. And they start to think, oh, what a nice, pleasant voice. I think I want to talk to this person. And we listen with empathy and we make loop back what they're telling us and we make that connection. We gain confidence. So towards the end of that call, when we slide in there, the closing statements we're going to learn today, people are more likely to say yes. We talked about investigative questions last time. Real quick recap on that. Have you stayed with us before? I've trained people to ask that for over 3 decades now, but let's update that a little bit. Have you stayed with us before, or did anything online catch your eye? Now we know that maybe they're not a repeat guest yet, but they've spent a lot of time at our website. They have sorted through Nizuc Resort, how many room types you have. You have a lot. Trying to think of who else is here. My vacation rental clients, every home is separate decoration, decor, separate location. You sell individually, you know which home to start at. Even a very basic hotel in Oxford Suites, you have a couple of different categories. You find out if you're looking at the standard suite or the deluxe suite. What brings you to the hotel name? Okay, or you can use your city name. What brings you to the city or town if you're selling vacation rental? Because maybe you have homes in more than one town. So that's good, but let's update that. Hey, is there anything special you're planning that I can assist you with? Now we start to sell the experience, okay? Not just be a room renter. Don't be a room renter. Sell experiences, okay? And then finally, the conversation starter. As I'm checking availability here, are there any questions I can answer about our location or our amenities? And if you ask this question, first of all, it may take you a while to have the inventory returned in your property management system, and you can stall for time and fill in that dead air time. But even if the rates are already displaying, the caller doesn't know that. As I'm waiting for the rates to load, they have already loaded. Any questions I can answer for you about our location or amenities and services? This gives us a chance to sell value over price, okay? And that's what we want to do. One more quick recap, and then we're going to start our new content, and that is the concept of storified selling. So once we find out, unmask their purpose and their motivation for traveling, we can now tell the story. So last month we talked about the just for you engagement style. You can enjoy, you can take advantage of, you will benefit from, not we offer, that makes it all about us. Imagine yourself stepping out onto your balcony while you overlook the tranquil sea of, or the beautiful mountains, or the vibrant city life, okay? And then help them imagine what they're going to see and what they're going to feel. So, new content, part 2, let's get to it. The third storified sales method that we want to introduce here in part 2 is very, very important, and that is to use needs-based recommendations, suggestions, and endorsements. And the reason we want to use this is because people get very, very confused. We've actually done other webcasts on this, the concept of choice overload. And when I work with our private hotels, our private lodging companies, I go on site, and what I do is right before the training, I put in hotel reservation, luxury hotel Toronto, which is what I did this week. And you pull up a list of all the hotels that come up, or luxury vacation home in Colorado, in Breckenridge, Colorado, which I did the 1st of January. And you see all the options come up. And then I jump over to a Vrbo and Expedia of Booking.com, and I put in the dates and I click the luxury or the upscale or the vacation home. Or, you know, we have choice hotels here today. Hello, Shinkati. We'd love to see you every webcast almost. You're signing up. Moderately, mid-scale, upper mid-scale. There's tons of choices for everyone. They get overwhelmed. So what we want to do, and when we recommend, suggest, endorse, we help them overcome choice overload. This also helps personalize the conversation. I love this photo here where she's reaching out, making it just for you. This gains their confidence, and this helps them stop shopping and start booking. Because what happens when you have so many choices at a few clicks away, you know, the expression today is you go down the rabbit hole. Excuse me, I guess that's from the legend or the tale of Alice in Wonderland. But I've experienced this myself when I start planning a leisure trip and I start out by shopping online, and before you know it, 30 minutes has passed and you're still reading reviews and looking at all the lovely photos. And you get, by the end, the longer you search, the more confused and overwhelmed you get. All right. So when you buy something really, really important, you as a consumer, you want someone to recommend, suggest, someone to help you, someone that will offer personalized assistance. All right, so let me give you some examples from the outside world where either myself or people that I know that I have conversations with, we want to have someone to recommend or suggest something for us, especially when they've asked questions and they've made a connection with us and it's not a blind recommendation. All right. So one example is changing your hairstyle. All right. Now I have to admit these days, you know, my hairstyle is pretty basic, just that I have some and I kind of arrange it every morning when I wake up. But, you know, a lot of men are very lucky. They got the beard, and sometimes they want to grow the long beard and the short beard. And, you know, how do they want their mustache and their facial hair to look? Or hairstyles today are so diverse. You know, years ago, it used to be that it would swing one direction. Everyone would have short hair or long hair or braids or no braids. And now today, everybody has an individual look, which I love this era of individualism. But a lot of people are very, very loyal to their hairstylist. I just talked to my niece, Rachel. I love to call her Dr. Rachel because I'm very proud of her. She's a not only a physician, but went through a specialist physician. And she went to University of Miami Med School, but she now lives back home in Kentucky, where the rest of my family is from. I just talked to her recently, and she said, yeah, well, one of the things I'm doing when I'm here, I'm going to go to see my hairstylist. Now, the hairstylist is about an hour and a half from where she's staying, but it's where she used to go to med school. And she says, nobody does my hair like them. So she will fly all the way from Kentucky. She comes here. Of course, she visits some friends and family while she's here. But then she drives another hour and a half to go back to the same hairstylist because there's that loyalty factor. What do you think I should do this year? What do you want to eat at a restaurant? Now, if you go to a chain restaurant, you already know the menu because you see all the ads on TV. But when you go to that fine dining restaurant, you want to say, what do you recommend? The smart server does not say, oh, I always recommend this dish. The smart server says, what do you enjoy eating? They ask questions, just like we covered in the last webcast. What are you looking for? Tell me. And then they recommend, suggest based on that. Clothing. Now, when you go to buy jeans or you want to buy a blouse or for men a dress shirt, not that big of a deal. But when you go to buy an outfit that you're going to wear for a job interview or to attend a wedding, you want a salesperson that's going to help you. Now, a lot of us men, I just bring along my wife. She says, oh, no, yeah, no, that looks good. But a lot of women, at least women that I know, they don't want to ask their husbands what do they think, because a lot of husbands, what we say a lot of times when she comes out of the dressing room, oh, that looks great, honey. Yeah, that looks great. Next one. That looks really good too, honey. Every single one. Yeah, they all look good on you, honey, because I love you and you're so beautiful, honey. And I really want to get out here and watch my basketball game or the hockey game. So, I know that a lot of us will ask our partner, but sometimes you don't want to ask your partner. You want the opinion of a stranger, like, okay, how does it really look? Tell me the truth. And a good salesperson will tell you, like, no, yeah, definitely yes. Buying new eyeglasses. I actually went to buy glasses. A really sharp dressed guy. I'm like, you look like you're well put together. Look at me. What kind of glasses should I get? I actually wear contacts, but I do have emergency backup glasses. So these are other situations. And if you've been in any of these situations and you see the value when somebody actually takes time to connect with you and makes a recommendation, think about how that applies to the hotels and the lodging companies we have on here today. You're selling a very important business trip or the vacation that you're going to be remembering as the highlight of 2025. When someone recommends and suggests, is very helpful, especially when that someone refers back to something the caller said previously. Okay, so here are some examples of how we would phrase that. Again, this is all predicated on the fact that we're going to say, what brings you to the area? Are you celebrating anything special? Is there anything special I can assist you with planning? And we make those connections. And then when it comes time, we can say, well, since you mentioned it's going to be your first trip without the baby, I would definitely recommend that our resort would be a great choice because we have the adults only section. Okay. Or if you're looking for a centralized location for your first visit to our city, I would definitely suggest that we would have a good choice. Based on what you told me, this would be an excellent choice. So we can recommend, we can suggest, or we endorse, and we just say, excellent choice. Based on what you told me, I think that would be a great choice. All of these things help people overcome choice overload and help them stop shopping and start booking. Okay, because we've all, those of you who take reservation calls, I know we have a lot of managers here today. This is a training webcast for the people actually doing the work. And managers, sometimes you cover those phones too, don't you? And we all have those conversations where we talk for 15 minutes. We make that connection and they say, okay, well, thank you. I'm going to call back. Isn't that heartbreaking? We're going to talk in a minute about how to secure that sale while you have them. But again, that's all predicated upon the whole call flow conversation. Now, it is important to offer needs-based recommendations, suggestions, and endorsements throughout the conversation. Throughout the call, you want to recommend, suggest, endorse whenever you can. Again, we used examples a moment ago about your location, the hotel itself, the amenities, services, but especially when you start to present the available accommodations, because that's when we're talking cha-ching. The money, okay? So when you start to present the choice of the doors that they're going to receive, you want to always recommend or suggest. Here are some specific examples. You may want to do a quick screenshot. And now that I've answered your questions, Mr. Kennedy, and I told you all about our lovely hotel, in terms of accommodations, there's 3 terrific options I can recommend for you. All right, and now that I've answered your questions about our lovely vacations homes here in 30A or Destin, shout out to my clients there. There's three different homes, condos, etc. that I can suggest for you. And once they have something in mind, you just say, based on what you told me, that would be an excellent choice. You will literally sometimes hear people say, oh, let's do it. And that gets them across the finish line. So always, always, always use this technique whenever you're presenting the accommodations that come up. Now, let us move on to section 5 of our actual course. And I want to cover this today with you in part 2, upselling and rate maximization. Excuse me, a little bit hoarse today. Let me have a sip. So we have rate optimization, upselling by accommodation, and overcoming objections. So the first thing I like to do is clarify, because when I talk to a lot of people in revenue management, even some reservation managers, they tend to use these two words and terms interchangeably, but really, and I like to make them presented in a way that is different, because I think they are different issues. First of all, there's upselling, which is convincing the guest to select the higher rated accommodation types. This is especially true in hotels. In a hotel, obviously you have one owner or ownership group, owner corporation. They own all of the accommodations, all the units. They want to sell them all, but they especially want to sell the high-end ones. In the vacation world, vacation home rental, you really have to represent, you have a fiduciary responsibility to represent all homeowners' accommodations equally. So we really there, I call it right selling. You want to sell them all. But upselling is by accommodation type. Rate optimization is selling the higher rated rate categories first. So the rate tiers, the highest one that's available. Most hotels call this the bar rate, which is the best available rate for that date. That's the revenue management term, of course. You want to sell that rate first and offering the discounts and special rates only when requested, or only if it's necessary to do so because it's a moderate or low demand period. All right, so we differentiated those a little bit. Now, with rate optimization, getting the highest rate possible for that accommodation for these dates, one thing we have to do, and this goes out to our newer reservationists, people who got into hospitality because you love people and you love to travel and you're a kind person and you love the concept of taking care of others and being welcoming. And then all of a sudden, we are quoting rates that vary. Part of it feels fraudulent. Caller one in the morning calls and they ask for a low demand period and we quote a rate for $200. Caller B calls for the same room category for a high demand period and that rate is $800. Or if Taylor Swift is in town, $1,500. Or New Year's Eve, or I don't know, July 4th at a resort in US. So quote those rates with confidence. First of all, trust that your revenue manager knows what she's doing or he's doing or they're doing. They know. They have scientific data that tells them to gives them the ability to track demand historically and also projected into the future. And also know something else. The caller already knows the rates. Almost everybody has a smartphone. Most people have checked already. In fact, if you just do a Google search for a hotel now, you know, Google actually presents rates a lot of times from their Google algorithms will pull up the actual base rates. Now that's probably for the current date, not for a future date. But they generally have some idea before they call us, okay? Now, another tips for you for rate optimization before we get into upselling. Always, always, always quote the highest available rate categories first for that room type, okay? Remember, it's the buyer's job to ask for discounts. It is our job to generate revenue, okay? Do not ask questions such as this. Hello, oh yes, I'd be glad to check that for you. When is your arrival and departure dates? How many adults and children, or how many bedrooms are you looking for? And how many people? Okay, and then by the way, do you have a AAA rate or AARP? Do you drive a car? Are you old? Some people might actually be insulted. Like, you think I would have an AARP rate? Well, actually, sir, it is age 55 and over. But I'm only 40. Why do I have this up here? Because we literally hear this being asked when our team of 25 people does mystery shopping or remote scoring of calls recorded in systems like Track or Ring Central or the others out there. Don't ask for them if they have a discount, okay? It is their job to ask. Now, also, sometimes we have heard people that inadvertently, accidentally create an objection because they say, oh, in checking, oh, okay, you're calling for the week of July 4th, or you're calling for Memorial Day weekend, or you're calling for festive season in Mexico and the Caribbean. Oh, well, during that time, we don't have any specials. Don't say that. Don't say that. Some of you may be thinking, Doug, I know I would never say that, but I'm covering this because it has been said and it is still being said. If, a lot of you, you're especially again, resorts, you do promotions every week or most weeks, you do a special. They will notify the reservations team that a special promotion is going out. Do not ask them, oh, when are you arriving? How many nights? How many people? How many beds? And did you get a promotional email this week? No. I know you want to save the hassle of going back and researching and requoting if they did get it, but it's up to them to mention it. All right. Do not ask them, when are you coming? How many nights? How many people? Are you with any company that has a special corporate rate? Are you with a group that might have a discount? No. If you do have a lot of BT business travel or you do host a lot of groups, do not mention special rate. You can say, are you with a particular company or group? Do not say a particular company that has a special rate, all right? So again, I try to make you chuckle at the funny things that we do, but this is how they're gonna react, especially when we have to say, oh yeah, well, we do offer a special rate, but your company, no, we charge you full rate. Oh, you're not with the group. Yes, we get to make a lot of profit off you, all right? Don't mention things they can't qualify for. All right, now, upselling by accommodation type. Your manager may, chances are they may have, or they probably do, prefer a normal certain order of how you quote accommodation categories. And again, this may speak more to hotels than vacation rental. But similarly in vacation rental, we're going to determine, are we starting with our top tier high-end properties? Are we going to go for the moderate ones or the value properties? So most likely, many managers, especially in upscale and luxury, when I look at my attendance list today, and I see the Rosewoods and the Biltmores and the Mon, and a lot of you are very high-end White Elephant, you're selling luxury accommodations. We probably want people to start with the top-down, high-rated accommodations, but I think all of you will agree, we want our people to adjust the approach according to the caller's stated preferences. So we don't always quote just in one order, we vary it according to the situation. Let me explain. So the following are the 3 upselling methods that we train for our clients, and we're going to train you today on based on how the conversation is going. Whichever method you use, the most important thing is the storified selling techniques that we covered, which will help you describe the accommodations. And that's how we create value. Okay. So the first one, top down. Now, this works great for the callers who tell you upfront they're looking for the best. Now, some may go as far as to say rate is not an issue. I don't know, maybe I need to change that. I don't know how many people say price is not an issue, but they kind of tell you that it's implied when they say, hello, I'm making a reservation for the president of our company, and she's very particular, okay? Let me tell you some other hints for hotels. I guess really for anyone. When someone is calling for their boss, They're probably a pretty high-ranking corporate person because not many people have admin assistants anymore. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, a lot more people had admin assistants to do the filing and the typing. But today, people, those my 20 somethings, 30 somethings, 40 somethings, you learn to type in high school. My 20 somethings learned to type in the stroller. And of course, a lot of the business world is different now with the apps that we use. So we don't have admins anymore unless you're at a luxury hotel. When we listen to calls for luxury hotels, very, very often someone is calling for their boss. Start with the highest priced accommodations first, okay? Also, when they mention it's a special occasion, when they mention it's a anniversary, when they mention it's a honeymoon, okay? Start at the best. Now, you may not, by the way, you may not start with your presidential suite, or you may not start in vacation rental. You may not start with the 5-bedroom pool home overlooking the view if they only have 2 of them, okay? But you're going to start with a higher priced accommodation type, then pause and solicit feedback. You're going to use the storified selling to describe it, all the things we just talked about, and then how does that sound so far? And then kind of check in, and then if necessary, drop down to the lower tier accommodations. But when you start at the top and go down in accommodation types, you want to make sure to remind them, this one is still a very good option, because you think about the nature of top down. We described this great accommodation that has a view, a location that's premier, or amenity, or it's larger. And then one by one, we take things away as we drop down in the categories. So guess what? Now you don't get a view. Guess what? Now you don't get a deep soaking tub. Guess what? Now you don't even have a living room, but still a great option. Has all the same amenities, and there's so much to do here. You may not be in the room that much anyway, okay? Now, bottom up. These are the ones for the people who say, hi, I'm shopping online. I want what is your lowest rate? Do you have any discounts or promotions? What is your cheapest rate? So they're telling you right up front, they're price sensitive. They don't say, hello, I'm Doug Kennedy, I'm price sensitive, but they give you those hints. So I don't think your boss is going to want you starting with, the top tier accommodations. In this case, we want to adjust our method. So start with a lower priced accommodation first. Again, maybe not the very lowest, but maybe, one up. But here's my takeaway for you. Remember, always, always, always be sure to offer the next highest rated accommodation as well. Because he who saith, what is thou cheapest room, really meaneth, what is thou best value. And our homes are filled with things that are not the lowest or cheapest. Most people know that you buy value, okay? And a lot of times, I believe the smartest people with the people with the most wealth are the smartest at asking for the discount, because they have a lot more experience buying stuff because they have a lot more money. So the 1%ers, the top 5% economic households, make a lot more purchases than you or I do every day. So they know that most things are negotiable. Always, always, always mention that next one. If possible, mention only the additional incremental amount that they have offered, okay? Now, mid-rate with option, this is one where you kind of start in the middle and you can then work up or you can drop down. In effect, in reality, this is what almost everybody uses, because we all have that specialty accommodations that have extra space or that are far, far above the price range of the other accommodations, or far larger than most people need. So we have our core inventory, and generally we're going to start somewhere and then kind of work up or down. All right. Now, last sell options. We actually call this downselling. We focus a lot on upselling training, but we also cover downselling training, because very often when the inventory is limited for those last dates before you're sold out, the peak season at a resort, the peak nights of week at a city center hotel, or when there's a citywide convention, or when Taylor Swift comes to town, All right, if you're tired of Taylor Swift, I actually kind of like her. I'm not a huge fan of her music. Let's say the Stones come to town. I don't know. Who else gets as much turnout and as high ticket sales as Taylor Swift? I don't know. So maybe we should stick with Swifties. But when inventory is limited and it's festive season in the Caribbean, which is Christmas to New Year's, um, what I'm trying to think. I don't know the Italian holidays as well. I'm sure we have Netherlands here today. I'm sure you all have those. But when it's the last accommodations left, it's either the best, highest priced, or the least desirable. That's what I find. Okay. And it's the ends of the spectrum of accommodation type. And unfortunately, what a lot of you say, checking availability. Oh, for your dates, Mr. Kennedy, all I have left. And when you say all I have left, it makes it sound like it's the leftovers. So remember the Doug Kennedy saying, some of you have heard this from me. I hope you're not tired of me. When all you have left is all you have left, never say it's all you have left. Instead, we're going to say, oh, fortunately, during that time, what I still have left. Okay. And then you're going to talk about what's good about it. Doesn't that sound better? All I have left, fortunately, what I still have. Okay. Now, I want us to acknowledge any glaring deficiencies and then talk about what's good. Okay. So I have a client, I better not name the name because I'm going to talk about their worst room. They're in San Diego on the beach and they have one room. That, by the way, they're a beachfront resort, a hotel, beachfront hotel in a beach town facing west with the sunset. And they look over a paved walkway, kind of like Venice Beach. It's actually not on Venice Beach, but I don't want to give away the name of the hotel. But they have one room. The room has no windows. It actually has one window that is so high up you can't even see out it. It is actually entered through the underground parking garage. Okay. So you want to tell people there's a glaring deficiency. If all you have left is a room with 2 beds and they're on their honeymoon, okay, you want to let them know that fortunately what I still have left is a room. It is a double room with 2 beds, but what's good about it is the beds are queen size beds. And what else is good about it? There's so much to do here anyway. You might not let me go back to the California one. Because of our excellent location, there's so many things you can do here. You might not be in the room that much anyway. Okay. And for the honeymooners, it is still a queen bed and you will still have all the same amenities, has all the same services. And also this room is a little bit larger. Okay. And so that is a reminder oh, let's go back also. Checking availability. Oh, fortunately, what I still have left is my larger accommodation that has more bedrooms than you needed. You know, don't present, that's not a negative. Checking availability. Oh, all we have left is a 2 bedroom. And I know it's just you and your wife, Mr. Kennedy. And I know it'll be a problem because we do actually require that you sleep in both bedrooms. Yes, I know. And we do actually check to make sure. And if you did not sleep in both bedrooms, then we actually do have an actual additional charge. But, you know, we could call you in the middle of the night. You could switch beds or, you know, first night in one bedroom and second night in the other. This is not a problem. So let's say, fortunately, what I still have left, it is a little larger than you need. I know it's just the two of you, but it has a lovely attributes and we still have it. Okay, why do callers object to rate? Couple of reasons. One, because they're cheap or because they're poor, okay? But probably they would not have called your hotel because they've already seen the rates online. More likely, they're testing your reaction just to see because they're smart and wealthy and they have bought a lot of things in their life. More likely, they're fine with the rate you're offering, but they just want to make sure they're getting the best deal. This is the game we play, at least in capitalistic societies. Almost everything today, ladies and gentlemen, is negotiable. And the sooner you learn that and you get a little pushback just to see what happens, you will find a lot of places will work with you. All right. So when the guest objects to the rates, now this lady's not being very nice about it. Some people are like that. Some people say, what? Are you serious? But most people say, oh, okay, it's a little out of my price range. Are your dates flexible at all? Because if you could visit the week earlier, the week later, a different date. Now, if you're a city center corporate hotel and you're a business travelers hotel, some of the Oxford locations, all right, a lot of business travelers, they're probably not going to change the date of their business meeting, but if leisure guests will, and if somebody wants to stay at a Royalton resort and they've gone online and they've seen this particular Royalton and they see, oh, it's the Royalton Granada, okay, Grenada. I really want to stay there because I've seen those pictures. Yeah, well, we could come a week earlier or a couple of days earlier. Now, high season rates. I'm gonna hope to correct something that hoteliers have trained us wrong way for decades, including me, okay? How do you explain high season rates? Well, most of us say, when people say, why are the rates so much higher? Or your repeat guests, gosh, that's a lot more than I paid last time. This is a common question. Why are the rates so high this time of year? Most of us say, oh, well, actually, it's our busy season, so the rates go up. Yeah, actually, well, we have someone called a revenue manager, and their job is to forecast demand. And when demand is high, we actually jack up the rates so we can actually achieve a higher RevPAR, sir, which is revenue per available room. So we can return an ROI to the asset manager and the owners. Because it is capitalism, sir, supply and demand. That's kind of what we say when we tell them the rates go up when it's busy, all right? Do you really want to debate that? Oh, the rates go up on the weekends or the weekdays if you're a hotel, or festive season, or July 4th, or this time of year, President's Day, Valentine's Day at a ski resort. How about this? Oh, actually, Mr. Kennedy, for this time of year, or this day of week, or this season, our prevailing rates apply. Yes, but sometimes when it's slower, we're actually able to offer lower rates. Would you like me to check other dates for you? Why is it we imply that the actual price of our accommodations is the cheapest rate that we charge all year and that we raise it when it's busy? Why didn't they teach us years ago that the prevailing normal rate, the top tier rate, is the actual price and we actually lower it? So think about that. Try to use that in your explanation if you work in sales. All right, now other accommodation types. Have you ever considered another category, another view, another location? We have our partial view. We have our limited view. We have smaller accommodations, okay? They all offer the same amenities and services, and there's so much to do, especially at resorts. There's so much to do here. You might not be in the accommodation that much anyway, okay? Or since you're here on business, you may not be in the room that much. It's still a good option, and I still have it, okay? So offer alternative accommodations. All right, let's go through our last section. I know this is a little bit longer than most of our webcasts because of the refresh that we did, but we are getting close to the finish line. Secure the sale, make the initial attempt, check for resistance, create urgency, and then we will touch base briefly on proactive follow-up. So remember, always, always, always remember, securing the sale benefits everyone, including the caller, all right? Sometimes, and I covered this because sometimes when we score calls, my team here scores calls, and we hear a nice person that is super friendly agent that has oozing personality, they will do everything, but they don't want to ask for the sale. And I say to them, please, in the training, please, why don't you want to ask? They said, well, Doug, I don't want to be pushy. Is this hitting home with anyone? Remember, you're not being pushy. They called you. It is a natural next step in a personalized reservation call. They called us, and we can help them get this across the finish line, okay? And remember, it's a courtesy being extended. We did not call these people and said, hey, just wanted to see if you might want to come and stay at our hotel. Oh, sorry to interrupt dinner. They called you. Now, Always, always, always make it a habit to secure that sale right after you quote the rates. Don't wait. Quote the rate. May I secure that for you? Which of those may I secure for you? Okay. Notice the wording here. Do not say, all right, which of those you want to book one of those? You want to book it? Which of those do you want to book? Do you want to book that room? No. Which can I secure for you? Which sounds better? Do you want to book it? May I secure it for you? Doesn't that sound better? It's a lot easier to say yes. May I just secure that for you? Of course. Now, hopefully they're going to say yes and you proceed and you got your cha-ching and you make the reservation, but a lot of people still decline. Now, some of them just say, thanks, okay, may I secure that for you? No, not now, thanks, bye. Don't let them hang up, okay? And that's when some of them say, well, thank you, but I have to check with someone else. I'm always skeptical of this. You know, some of them, the admin has to check with their boss, the travel agent has to check with their client, the husband has to check with his wife. Okay, I get it. As a married man, yeah, I get that. The wife has to check with her husband. Not so sure. But really what they're all saying is they're going to keep on checking around. Okay? And some will actually be honest and tell you, well, still shopping. So when they decline, ask those questions to continue that conversation, keep them talking, and check for rate resistance. Mr. Kennedy, which of those may I secure for you? Well, I think I'm going to have to call you back, but thank you. Wow. How does that rate, before I let you go, Mr. Kennedy, how does that rate sound? Thanks anyway, I'll call you back. Before I let you go, is that within your travel budget? Would you like me to check any alternative accommodations? Try to keep them talking. Now, your success at this goes back to part one, positive opening greeting, listening, making a connection, asking questions, being helpful. If all you've done is say, what are your dates? How many people? How many nights? King size, two double beds. Okay, here's the rate. You want to book it? Oh, no, I think I'll call you back. Well, how does that rate sound? They're not going to have any connection with you. They're not going to have any commitment to you. But if you follow the flow and you pull out our little job aid, by the time you get to this, they will keep talking to you more often than not. Now, if they say, well, it's a little out of my price range, we can help them qualify for the available discounts. So now I'm going to go against the opposite. I'm going to present the opposite of what I told you earlier, because this is the time to say, well, before I let you go, Mr. Kennedy, if you like, may I ask, do you have AAA? Or not that you sound over 55. Do you have AARP? Okay, what about military? Let me check for other discounts. Let me help you here, find the best. Oh, actually, I just noticed we did an email campaign this week. Let me check, okay? So help them qualify. Now, I'm gonna cover two scenarios. Some hotels, some rental companies, they empower you to negotiate special discounts when it makes sense to do so. For example, shoulder or off season. So in North America, at warm weather resorts, that's May and September. In North America, at ski resorts, that's early December and late March and April, early April. Long stays, special accommodation types. Some of you may be empowered, okay? Some of you do not use this strategy. That's fine too. You have rate integrity, okay? But in that case, I want you to understand that callers might have experienced this situation of flexibility elsewhere. And therefore, when your callers say, do you have any lower rates? What about discounts? What else can you do for me? Oh, Mr. Kennedy, actually, we always quote our lowest rates automatically here at our hotel, okay? And our rates are actually set for vacation rental. Our rates are actually set in partnership with our homeowners. So we always do give you the lowest price. All right, now, if your company does use this negotiating strategy, they have empowered you to negotiate. I'm gonna give you some tips. Do not simply drop that rate. Okay, the rate in your total, sir, would be 2,000. Okay, well, thanks, I'll call you back. Before I let you go, how does that rate sound? Well, it's a little bit high. Okay, how about 1,800? They're thinking that was easy. How about 1,700, they'll say. And now you get into a reverse auction. So don't make it seem too easy. First, you have to check further. Now, I don't know what you do when you check further. Maybe you take the phone and lean down and press that space bar a few times. Maybe you put them on hold briefly and you sing, I don't know, the Jeopardy theme song or Happy Birthday, which is about 20 seconds. And maybe your boss comes walking by. Doug, what are you doing? Why do you have a call on hold? You're not even talking. Oh, actually, boss, I'm checking with you. And you're saying yes today. Okay. After a brief pause and you come back on the line, don't just give him the discount. Let's make it a qualified one. After checking further, Mr. Kennedy, if I can confirm this for you now, I can actually offer you a special rate or a lower rate or an upgraded room category at the same rate. Okay, so don't just drop the price, check further, and then make it a qualified offer that if we can confirm it now. These are important, subtle differences that you want to know. Now, some callers are just fine with the rates, but they're still hesitant. That extra effort that we give at this point will help us not only secure more sales, okay, but it will also get them across the finish line. So if you feel that what I'm going to share now about pushing further, turning that no into a yes is pushy, because you're one of those nice people, you don't want to hurt their feelings. Remember, they benefit because the rate might change when they call back. You might be sold out of that category, or you might be sold out entirely. This is her. This is how she's going to react. But I just called earlier and I checked with all my other people I'm traveling with, and I'm ready now. Yeah, well, we don't have it anymore. Or we have it, but our revenue manager just increased that rate. Okay. So you're not being pushy. All right. So when they decline that first offer, ladies and gentlemen, let them know availability is limited. Create urgency. Availability is limited and that rate could change. And we have a limited number of that category. This is our most popular category for this time of year. This is selling out fast, okay? So whatever you can do to create urgency. Never ever say, well, that's okay, Mr. Kennedy, just call back because right now we're wide open. Yeah, nobody wants to stay with us anymore. Ever since that new hotel opened down the street, it's so slow some nights, sir, we have to have employees park in the parking lot. We turn lights on in the guest rooms, make it look like people still stay here. We are never wide open. We're always filling up fast. Okay. Availability is limited, but we can secure that now, and you can always call back to cancel up until 72 hours or 14 days. Now, some of you are saying, Doug, we have a 30-day, a 60-day, a 90-day cancellation. Well, you may be empowered to put it on a courtesy hold, or managers, maybe if you have a very strict and restrictive cancellation that is more than 30 days out, you may want to consider okay, we can confirm it now. You pay the deposit, Mr. Kennedy, but you can cancel within the first 24 hours, just like airlines do. And then that's the one described right here. Okay, so this one depends on your revenue strategy, but you can always create urgency, and you can usually remove barriers. All right, couple more slides, you guys, and we're going to finish up here by one. Proactive follow-up, especially for high revenue bookings. And high revenue booking are your top tier accommodations, your biggest, your most luxurious, the best views. The longer stays, maybe it's a moderate or a low priced accommodation, but it's a longer than usual stay, or somebody who's booking 2, 3, 4, 5 accommodations. All right, that is a high revenue lead. In this case, I'm going to encourage you to send proactively an email. Now, if you are a track client, which is how you found out about this webcast, you may have Track Pulse and you have a reservation CRM that makes it really efficient to do this. If you're not a track client, maybe you would like to be a track client, but your boss, your owners won't pay. If you're not going to be a track client and you will never be a track client, you can do it manually. Okay. And if your boss won't pay for a CRM like a track, if you start doing it manually, you can show the value and they may just budget for it for next year. Because if you follow up, track actually, you can talk to them, our colleagues at track, they will give you evidence. Last I heard, about 60% of the time, when you send the follow-up email after a voice conversation, and when you also put them on the lead stream and then place a follow-up call, that no will turn into a yes. Okay, but check with them for their actual stats. Now, we have to get their email. If you say, may I secure that for you? No, not ready. Well, I can hold it. Availability is limited. No, still not ready. Okay, well, Mr. Kennedy, do you want me to send you an email? That is going to be a hard no. Do you want an email? I'm pretty sure everybody watching me will be like, no. But if you say, let me please allow me to have your email address so I can send you my direct contact information. And then if you really want to be proactive, then you can also ask, by the way, may I also get your phone number so I can call you to see what else we can do to assist you with plans. I'm leaving this for a second so you can make a screenshot of the actual verbiage. Instead of, do you want me to send you an email? Allow me to. Instead of, do you want me to call? May I also get your number so I can call? All right. And then when you follow up, personalize the first few sentences of that template. If you're using a template, the first sentence or two, say something personal. It was wonderful speaking with you just now about your plans for visiting for some specific reason that you learned, okay? And then follow up tenaciously. At least send one more email to see what else we can do on our end. And then consider making those follow-up phone calls. Again, track will allow you then to trace the lead on a task list. But if you're not doing this and you want to get in the game to prove value, to be able to budget for a system like Track, you can do it manually. Now, if you do go to our Kennedy Training Network YouTube channel, we actually have an entire webcast. It's called Proactive Follow-Up on Reservations Voice Leads. So we go into this in a lot more details. All right, round in the corner here. Thank you for staying with me. I know a lot of you do lunch and learns with me, so you probably already finished lunch and your boss may be saying, let's get back on the phones, Doug. But thank you to our sponsors, Track and Travel Outlook. We appreciate you. Again, if you want these call flows, please email me. In a moment, I'll give you the email address. We'll send you our core call flow. Please look for our next two webcasts, understanding what personalized hospitality is and what it isn't, because personalization cannot be done by AI. That will be in March, and then join us in April. If you're in hotel, group, or event sales, we're going to talk about capturing more catering and event sales revenue. Standing out in a sea of sameness. If you're not in those departments, please pass this along to your folks that are. This is our Kennedy Training Network YouTube channel, and we do the podcast distributed through YouTube. We also distribute them through Spotify. Check out Kate's video training tip. This is a playlist on our YouTube channel. We are just amazed by Kate. She did this month a really fun webcast using different names of candy analogies to reinforce the things that we've talked about here today. Consider us for on-site training, live webcam training with my KTN team, conference presentations if you're planning a management conference, and if you'd like to try us out for mystery shopping or call scoring, we would be very excited to talk to you and do some complimentary samples. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Sign up. Oh, you must sign up for each webcast separately. So click on to join us at KTN Webcast or email me directly. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend, or if you're working this weekend, happy Monday, even though it's Friday. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.